When a superstar like Jayson Tatum goes down, most fans panic, and it makes sense. But here's the thing nobody is talking about. Moments like this don't just test a roster. They expose hidden value. They force the spotlight onto names that were previously scribbled in pencil. And one of those names could quietly become permanent ink. Yes, Jaylen Brown will carry more weight. Yes, Sam Hauser and Georges Niang will stretch the floor like always. But while everyone's watching the big names adjust, one player sits quietly, waiting to shock the system. Miles Norris. If you haven't paid attention, start now. Norris doesn't just run the floor. He eats up space with purpose. His basketball IQ is off the charts, his energy is relentless, and his shooting mechanics are built for today's NBA. We're not talking about a project. We're talking about a 25-year-old who's been sharpened by the G League, dropped 17 points a night with the Memphis Hustle, and hits nearly 39% from three. That's not a fluke. That's a threat waiting to be weaponized. He's not a Tatum replacement, and he doesn't need to be. What he offers is a completely different variable. And variables win games in April and May. Standing at 6'9", he can switch, he can space, and he can feed off creators like Derek White or Jaylen without getting in their way. Picture this. The second unit starts to stall. Spacing gets tight, and suddenly Norris is on the floor. One corner triple, one unexpected block, one smart cut. That's all it takes to start building trust with the coaching staff. And if you think this is just hype, ask yourself, why did the Celtics quietly sign him to a two-way back in March? Why bring in a guy like Norris, who played with Peyton Pritchard at Oregon, unless there was more to unlock? The front office sees something. The coaching staff sees something. Now, it's on the fans to catch up. Yes, he's raw in some areas. His defense needs polish. His off-the-dribble game isn't complete. But you don't bet on perfection in July. You bet on tools, mindset, and momentum. And Norris has all three trending upward. He's already shown flashes in Summer League, including 11 points against the Lakers and a presence that doesn't fade when the lights go up. You might be sleeping on him now, but that could change quickly. The Celtics aren't looking for a star to fall out of the sky. They're looking for guys who can rise when the system gets tested, when the minutes stretch thin, when someone needs to step up and just do the right thing on a random Tuesday. In January, this could be the beginning of something. Not a headline, not a fairy tale, but the kind of player development story that sneaks into a playoff game and flips a quarterfinal dot. Keep watching. Norris isn't just fighting for minutes. He's auditioning for a role that doesn't even exist yet. And that kind of hunger? It's dangerous in all the right ways. Something is happening behind closed doors in Boston that even the most diehard fans might not be ready for. The Celtics aren't just tweaking the roster. They're reimagining what this team could look like without two of their core players. And not because they wanted to, but because they had to. With Jayson Tatum's shocking Achilles tear shaking the foundation of the franchise and the luxury tax pressure boiling over, Brad Stevens was forced into a high-stakes reshuffle. But what looked like survival mode might secretly be a bold reinvention. First came the trade that nobody expected to happen this early. Jrue Holiday, the defensive anchor and locker room stabilizer, sent to Portland in exchange for Anthony Simons, a player many East Coast fans haven't seen enough of to understand what he really is. Then came the move that truly rattled the league. Kristaps Porzingis traded to Atlanta for Georges Niang, a stretch forward known more for spacing than star power. On the surface, it looked like Boston was stepping back. But dig deeper, and the signs tell a different story. According to NBA insider Jake Fisher, the Celtics might not be anywhere near done. Talks are reportedly still active with multiple teams, including a mysterious conversation with Memphis that hasn't been fully revealed yet. Executives around the league believe Stevens is still quietly shopping both Simons and Niang. This raises a wild question. Are they assets to be flipped or pieces to be unlocked? Simons is only 26, but already has 3 consecutive 20-point seasons under his belt. What Boston sees in him isn't just scoring. It's shot creation under pressure, deep-range shooting, and an ability to play next to a star or carry a second unit. He's not just a scorer, he's a pressure valve. And in a playoff series, that kind of player can shift momentum when stars sit or struggle. Niang, on the other hand, brings more than meets the eye. His numbers don't pop, but his impact comes from geometry. He widens the court, forces defenses to stretch, and quietly creates driving lanes where there were none. On a team with slashers and off-ball movement, his role could grow in ways no one is expecting. But here's the real twist. What if this isn't just about 2025? What if Stevens is building a roster that can bend without breaking, one that survives the injury storm and still stays lethal? With Tatum's return timeline uncertain, this might be a masterclass in staying competitive while retooling in real time. Keep your eyes on Boston. The league might think the Celtics are scrambling, but inside the front office, it looks like they're playing a much longer game. And if Stevens pulls off what it seems he's setting up, this team could be even more dangerous than anyone thought. The Boston Celtics might be hiding their boldest move yet in plain sight. While most eyes are still fixated on the headline losses of Kristaps, Porzingis, Al Horford, and Luke Kornet, the real twist isn't about who left, but who could be walking through that door next, and it might be a name no one saw coming. Despite an active offseason, many of Boston's recent decisions felt more like emergency landings than smooth strategic flights. Moves were made not out of comfort, but out of sheer necessity, a scramble to stay balanced in a league that's shifting faster than ever. But what if this instability was part of a larger plan? What if Brad Stevens is quietly orchestrating a last-minute power move that could flip the script entirely? Enter Nikola Vucevic. Yes, that Vucevic. The two-time All-Star with a rare blend of size, skill, and shooting. And no, this isn't just another fantasy trade pitch. According to Cal Doret of Hoops Habit, a scenario is on the table where Boston could acquire the Bulls' big man in a swap involving Anthony Simons. The very piece they acquired in the Jrue Holiday deal. That trade never felt like a long-term marriage. It was transactional, a bridge. Maybe Simons was never meant to stay in green and white. Maybe he was a chess piece, not a building block. Vucevic, on the other hand, might be exactly what Boston needs, but hasn't dared to admit. He's entering the final year of his deal, making him the perfect low-risk, high-impact rental. He's not washed, not irrelevant, and not slowing down. He just averaged 18.5 points, 10.1 rebounds, and quietly shot a blistering 40.2% from three on serious volume. He played 73 games for Chicago and was a steady double-double machine while most of the league dealt with injury chaos. Think about that. A big man who can stretch the floor, rebound, pass, and stay healthy. In today's NBA, that's a luxury. In Boston's current situation, that's gold. Adding Vucevic wouldn't be a blockbuster, but it would be a reminder that this front office still has one eye on Banner 18. With Porzingis out and Horford aging, the Celtics are in desperate need of a stable interior presence. Vucevic may not solve every problem, but he could plug a hole big enough to keep the ship from sinking. And here's the real kicker. The timing is perfect. Vucevic's contract aligns with Boston's current championship window. There's no long-term financial commitment, no handcuffing the future. It's a calculated swing, the kind contenders make when they're serious about staying in the fight. So while other teams chase headlines, the Celtics might be one deal away from quietly reloading with a veteran who still has enough left to tilt a playoff series. And if you think Boston's offseason is over, you might want to keep your phone close. Something's brewing, and it's bigger than anyone realizes. The Boston Celtics might not be done yet, and what's brewing behind the scenes could completely upend everything we thought we knew about this offseason. League insiders have hinted that Boston isn't just tinkering with minor moves, they're actively working the phones with the Memphis Grizzlies. And the tone around those conversations has been described as intensely aggressive. This isn't exploratory, this is calculated. Something significant could be on the verge of happening. And the nature of the discussions points to a deal that could change the Celtics. Rotation in a way that no one's projecting publicly, but that's only scratching the surface. Behind closed doors, Boston made a bold offer to a high-scoring all-star guard, someone known for torching defenses and shifting the pace of games in seconds. While the fit might have raised some eyebrows, on paper, the message is loud and clear. Brad Stevens is building a roster that can score in waves and suffocate opponents defensively. The Celtics aren't just preparing to defend their crown. They're looking to evolve into something even more dangerous than what we saw in their championship run. And then there's the name that could blow the lid off this entire offseason. Giannis Antetokounmpo, yes, the two-time MVP. Whispers have grown louder that Boston is at least preparing the framework for a nuclear option. It's not just a fantasy. There's a real possibility that if the Bucks situation crumbles even slightly, the Celtics would be one of the few teams ready to strike. The front office isn't just being opportunistic, they're putting themselves in position to pounce. Imagine the defensive terror of Giannis next to Tatum and Brown, the impossible matchups, the transition chaos, the playoff dominance. This isn't a typical offseason, and the Celtics aren't acting like a typical champion. They're moving like a team that knows windows don't stay open forever, and dynasties aren't born from standing still.